Hey, it's your girl Beverly from BSF Design. I am the owner and friendly consultant of BSF Design LLC. And today we're going to talk about nonprofits. Yeah. And the benefits and how you can start your nonprofit 501c3. All right, but before we do this, y'all already know, subscribe, like, share, if you can. And so, without a further ado, let's begin. What is a nonprofit? Okay, so a nonprofit is primarily not for profit. It's not a business, a profit business entity. Yes, it does have a lot of business and logistics behind it, but mainly it is not a for-profit business or corporation or such. A nonprofit is usually to serve some type of social issue, good cause, or just people having this shared mission or goal that they're trying to accomplish. So you find that anyone who wants to start a nonprofit will normally have some type of a cause behind it, some type of an issue. It could be through ministry, through church, through may want to help in education, provide an agency to help children, shelter for women, whatever that nonprofit may be. It is generally not used for profit. Also, one of the benefits when you do apply for a nonprofit is that they will not charge you taxes. So you are exempt from taxes as a nonprofit, which is a beautiful benefit. And it really does help a lot of agency and causes because they need the help. They need as much as they can. That's the whole concept behind nonprofits. I know for me, when I started my nonprofit, a lot of people questioned how you're going to start and what you're going to do and how big it's going to be. I believe it doesn't matter the magnitude. It can be just the one person starting out, helping, going out there on the streets, doing whatever you need to do. But it is important when you are starting a nonprofit that you structure and that you do everything in the right way. So I'm going to tell you how to start a nonprofit. I'm going to break down to you what are the details and the information needed to start a nonprofit. Now, I need everyone to understand that there are different types of nonprofits out there. There are 501c8, there's a 501c7, which is used for commerce, the Chamber of Commerce, and the government uses another set of nonprofit. But we're going to talk today only about the 501c3, which is the common one that most people use, because all of those other 501cs are usually for the bigger entities. And so today, because I'm addressing the you and me, I'm just going to give you some information about that nonprofit, which is the 501c3. And that nonprofit can be for a public charity meaning a nonprofit agency, a shelter, a school or such, or foundation. A foundation is usually a place that distributes money. They give money. It can be a grant, through whatever. That's what a foundation does. So it is also important that you understand what you're going to be as a nonprofit. Are you going to be a public charity organization, or are you going to be a foundation? So it is important. So we're going to deal with that, and we're going to tell you how to start this 501c. So now it is, hey, Sister Bev, I am thinking about starting my nonprofit. I've been doing X, Y, and Z, and it is time for me to become an entity of the state legally. Not just say I'm a nonprofit, because there's a lot of us out there that has a lot of great ministries, but we haven't taken the correct steps in order to become a nonprofit entity. So it is important that we follow the steps, and a lot of people are afraid of it. Please don't. It is very simple, and if you do follow the procedures and you do it right, listen, you can become a nonprofit yourself. There is steps, but you can do it. So I would tell everybody who wants to become a nonprofit, well, the first step you would take is getting your tax ID number. Tax ID number for anything, any type of entity that you're filing for from the state, have a tax ID. Once you have filed your tax ID number, you can then go ahead and file for your corporation status. Normally a corporation status, to obtain one, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks. In order to get your corporation status, you have to break down how you are going to, your structure of your corporation, whether it's just you, the individual, or the owners who will be under the corporation, just like an LLC. And you can look at some of the videos I have in the past. Corporation, there's liability, there's all these different benefits that come with the corporation. But for those who are starting the nonprofit, this is just the first step in which you take in order to become a nonprofit, because without your corporation and being a corporate entity, you cannot get a 501c3. So you have to take that step. You'll have to fill out a form. You'll have to pay a $125 fee. It may be more in other states, but in the state of Pennsylvania, it is $125. You fill out a form. You provide all the necessary information, where the company address, owners of the company, who's going to be there. Some people even provide a verbiage that shows that this corporation is specifically for nonprofit, and we will not be using the money for any other entity but for that. And then the approval, denial, whatever the status may be, comes in the mail or email, depending on where you filed. If you're filing online, you go to PenFile. Most people have to get registered on the PenFile. Once you're registered on the PenFile, you can go and file for your corporation. And then once you file, within, I would say, 3 weeks to maybe 2 months, you'll get your letter, your certificate saying that you are now a corporation. Your business is now a corporation. Now, at that point, you can stay at that level, on a corporate level, and do whatever needs to be done, because there can be some charitable services that can happen in a corporation. And you can follow all of the proceedings still, because you would still have to do, if there are members within the corporation, you have to have minutes, addendum meetings, so that you can have voting forums and different things. That's what a corporation does. It is as close as it comes to a nonprofit. Now, once you have decided, okay, I'm going to take the second step to a 501c, there are needed documents to file for your 501c. Now, there's this form that's called a 1023 form. You can either mail the form in with all of the needed extra documents, or you can file it online. Now, if you file it online, there are two different types of 501c3. There's the lower level 501c3 in which you pay only $270, and every year you're claiming that you're making under $50,000. Now, that's important for you to understand. If you're going to file for that type of 501c, you have to stay under the radar of $50,000 revenue a year, meaning you're saying, I'm just a small entity, but that's all we make. We're not going to be making a lot. People are not going to be donating, even through our in-kind. It's never going to be over 50,000. So they're only looking for you to file through electronically. When you're filing your I-99, it's electronically. It's a lot of different things that is more simplified when you do file for a lower level 501c3. Now, if you're filing for the regular 501c3, you would have to literally pay $800, and please don't quote me, I think it could be $850 to $890. I'm not very sure about the fee, but I believe it's around $800 and some odd dollars. The last time, I think it's $850. I could be wrong, but it's $850 that you would have to pay. And for that 501c, they request more documentation than they do with the electronic. Because with the electronic, you're saying, I'm filing this way and I'm only paying $270 because my 501c is not going to get into all this huge revenue coming in. And they're counting on that. So they're only going to keep an eye on you for that. The minute you go over, you can get audited. So it's very important you know what you're doing. Now, you can start off with the general 501c, which is the one for $850. But in either way, these are the documentation that is needed. Number one, you would need to file a 1023, whether electronically or via mail. You would also need to have your bylaw created. This is before you even file a bylaw. And everyone who has a corporation or a nonprofit knows what I'm talking about. A bylaw is what is set in stone for what the board members, executive officers, team leaders, staff, that is breaks down what that company does, how they're ran. It's pretty much kind of like an operating agreement, but on a corporate level. Also, other documentations that are needed is conflict of interest, confidentiality policy, a list of all of the board of directors, who would be your treasurer, who would be your secretary, who would be the chairman and vice chair of the board. There should be a breakdown, a knowledge of that in the bylaw, and a breakdown of what's expected of each of these roles that they would need to play. It would also break down what they would do if and how long they can sit on the seat. So it's a real detailed documentation, this bylaw, but it has to be done. And it is great because when you are filing for it, you literally have to have your bylaw sent in with the 1023. They want to see that you know what you're doing, that you are creating an organization and it's not for gimmick and it's not just to be tax exempt. So it is important that you have these. Also, they sometimes they have on there on the 1023, not sometimes they do, they request some type of form that you are doing this for real. For example, they'll request your website information, social media, or something to show, that you have a proof of existence. So it is important that you establish yourself through the branding by creating a website, having some type of social media, or putting yourself out there, because this is a public entity. As a nonprofit, you become a public entity, and it is important. So these are the things that are needed to file your 501c. So now you have your bylaws, you have all of your policies together, you know who your director is, you have filled out the 1023, you have your money in hand, and now you're ready to file your 501c3, and you can do so. It is important that you have the right verbiage when you're filling out the 1023. They're going to be asking for all types of information thus far. For example, procedures, activities, things that your nonprofit, if it is already in existence, what are you doing to keep up? Financial statements, just a breakdown, a business plan. And I always tell people, instead of you doing all of that, have a business plan. Don't not create a business, especially with a nonprofit. Have a business plan, because you're literally putting yourself out there to help others and to do right by others. And you want to be good steward of other people's good giving and money when they do donate to you. You want to be able to show them what you're doing, because you've got to please your sponsors. You've got to please your donators. You have to be that founder that makes sure everybody that's around you the information is shared, whether it be your director, your sponsors, your donators. They need to know what's going on. So it is important that you document, you have accurate accounting. And when people do provide you with in-kind donations or monetary donations, that you keep track of that and be honest about it. So those are some things that you would need to start a nonprofit. I also want to say this. There are people who are starting nonprofits now just because they know it will bring money to the table. And I have issues with that. Because a nonprofit really is for a good cause, or like I said, a goal, or people coming together for a clear objective. But if it is that you're just starting a nonprofit because you're trying to make money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I urge you to rethink what you're doing. I urge you to really, self-inspect and think about that. Because it's a lot of people out there that are really fighting the good fight and are trying their best to help communities, help people, and do right by whatever cause they're trying to put out there, and they're not getting help. And here it is, you have people who know how to get the help and the money and are just doing it for just that. Wrong. If you feel that you have some type of burden in you, reach out to another nonprofit or an organization or the community and find out how you can join with someone. See if you want to do it, and then start your own. But for you to just put people's lives in the balance by pretending you want to help, it becomes so ungodly and so unintegral is the best word I can think of. So I hope I've helped with some information about nonprofit and how you can start your nonprofit and the way in which you go about obtaining your nonprofit. Again, if you have any more comments, or you want to know a little bit more, or maybe it's something I forgot to mention on this video, or something you may want to know about, please send a comment, email me, call me, so that I can probably create a video for that specific topic. I'm only doing these videos based on what people have come to me about, asking me about. So if you have a topic that you want me to address in the business world, reach out to me. Again, my name, Beverly Francois. I am the owner and friendly consultant of BSF Design LLC. You can get me, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me at www.bsf bsfdesignllc.com and subscribe so that you can get all of the latest events and good news happening with BSF Design. You can also contact me through email. It is bsfdesign@gmail.com. And you can call me 267-279-9348. I look forward to seeing you the next time. Bye now.